Okay, so this is the first time I saw the car on the internet for sale. It looked like a pretty good deal. Nice chassis, Marilat uppers and lowers, nice cage, 25.3, cert tag 650. It had been put in a wall at one point. Was told it was straight, um, but that's okay. We ended up getting rid of the front K member and putting a stock one in, and also replacing the front frame rail from where it was hit. But it was a really nice chassis overall, rust free. Ended up picking up some quarter windows and some optic armor front and rear windows with it. Not a bad deal for 5,500. And at this time I was building my Camaro. Uh, but Happy had put out his new Cincy Street Nights rules, which was stock floor, stock firewall, no boosted bid blocks. So I thought it'd be a good idea to jump into that class instead of jumping in with a bunch of killers. So I decided to put a small block in there, and we were trying to figure out how to make the most power with the small block on a budget. I had this old cam here. It's just a marketplace cam. I think I paid $100 for it, and this L83 5.3 liter LT motor sitting here. So the original plan was to put the Pro Charger on this. It's just a junkyard block. I think I paid $400 or $500 for it, and so started to do the teardown on this engine. I had a set of BTR drop-in pistons for it. Probably had some valve springs sitting around for it, but as much boost as we were gonna run, I had to get a little bit bigger valve spring than what I had, so I ended up putting like a 1207X spring in it. This motor was pretty dirty, and with I think the first race was in April, so we were on a pretty tight timeline, so I didn't have time to send these engines off to a machine shop or anything, so it was going to get a razor blade rebuild. That's the factory oil pump. They have a variable vane in them that's electronically controlled, but if you unplug the electronic control, it maxes out the pump. Some people have had some problems with the oiling system on these LTs, so there's a lot of different opinions as far as using them for drag racing, and I decided to go with a Moroso Copo pan. And here we are. My buddy Courtney's doing the chassis work on this car. When we replaced the passenger side frame rail, decided to retube the driver's side frame rail as well. Got that new strut tower stitched in there. Got the old one out and that new one stitched in. I think Courtney will tell you he's not a body guy, but he is a drag racer, so function over form. There's the before and after. This is an old seat I had lying around. We ended up taking off the upper part and cutting out the bottom part to make it more comfortable. And this is a bolt together converter that I'd bought off Marketplace a while back. We weren't sure what it was, so took it over to Lonnie Dyer's at Extreme Automatics, and he opened it up for me, and he wasn't too sure because it was an old converter. It's from '97. Turns out it's an old PTC turbo converter, so we're gonna try it and see what it does and go from there. This is a 140X Pro charger that I had picked up, and hadn't really decided. I mean, it's supposed to go on the Hemi, but still having trouble with parts for the Hemi, so these are the BTR pistons. Changed them over, got them on the rods. Time to start gapping some rings and putting some new bearings in. So we got that all set up and ready to go. And then I found this cam. This is another cam I found on Marketplace. I probably paid a couple $100 for it. It was a little bit more lift and duration than the other cam. And this is about the time I decided that the little L83 wasn't gonna hold up to the power the Pro Charger was gonna put through it. So I went out and got an L8T. This is a 6.6 liter, 403 cubic inch iron block LT motor. Comes with a forged crank from the factory. It's got some Inconel exhaust valves from the factory. So pretty stout piece. They've pushed this block to over 2,000 horsepower with a rod and piston combo, I think. I was told it turned over, but as you can see, it did not turn over. We found rust in the cylinders. It was pretty devastating, but for what I paid for it, you know, I did my best. It was burnt pretty bad too, obviously, as you can see, and you know, I wasn't sure what to expect. Never pulled one apart like this before, so you know, luckily everything came apart pretty easy. The rust in the cylinders was a challenge. We just sprayed it down with WD-40, hit it with the razor blade, and vacuum, and you know, kept plugging away at it. And that's probably the worst of it there. So there's the leftover pile of scrap from what was on that engine. And there's our heads. We're going to take those off to our buddy Mike Sparks over in Indiana, and he's going to help us out, get these heads ready to go. And we're going to pull the crankshaft out, and decided it was a good idea to send it off to BES for a double keyway. Interesting thing, you can see the two different crank dampers here. I'm not sure why the difference is, but they required two different pullers. That's my buddy Mike Sparks, cylinder head extraordinaire. If you guys need any work done, get a hold of him. And here we got the L83. We were able to mock that up in the engine bay there with the motor plate, mocking the intake up. And my buddy Courtney, he's the one that does all the chassis work over there at High Speed Welding, another one of my sponsors. And here's the crankshaft. We got it back from BES. Had it cleaned up and polished. You can see it's got center counterweight from the factory. Nice for oh yeah, we got the reluctor wheel tacked in there as well. We don't want that thing moving around. I mean, it's a pretty nice factory piece. It's, you know, there's better stuff out there, but it's what we got, and we're gonna see what it can do. So, and then the pistons were, man, do we have to scrape my buddy helped me out. He scraped those piston rings. And then this is after a quick hone job, bottle brush hone job we did on it. But the those pistons were pretty nasty. Some of the rings were stuck in the ring lands, and I was able to scrape those out. You know, here's an old head bolt. Just cut a nice groove down it so we can clean out the head passages. I heard there's issues where you can hydrolock and push the back of the block out with the head bolts if you're not careful. So I'm just reusing stock lifters here. I cleaned them up real good, and they still look really nice. So I'm just gonna go ahead and reuse the lifters. Got some new lifter trays, and here's the new pistons ready to go with all the file fit rings. And then here's the 5.3 LT pistons that putting on the back burner for now. Get this L8T buttoned up first. So here's some shiny new parts. I wanted to do a cam driven fuel pump, and there's not many out there as far as timing covers that allow that. So LME has this beautiful billet piece. I think they've dropped the price a little bit from when they originally came out with it, but it's a really nice piece if you're into that stuff. And it comes with the gear that you need. And then because I'm not doing machine work, we're not going to do O-ring grooves on the heads or a block or anything. So I decided to use the Athena cut ring gaskets. I think they cut into the cylinder head 5/1000ths. Try to create that O-ring seal. Machining the heads if I have to take them off, it's not a big deal. And then these are P1 head studs. Just needed some head studs and needed them quick, so that's what we went with. And these are some Blem valve covers I picked up. We decided to go with the orange ones for now. It's a shorter valve cover. And that's a timing pointer picked up from Mighty Mouse. They are big into catch cans, and they also sell timing pointers for a few applications. I don't think they had put one on an LME cover yet, so we did have to modify that. And then here's the Innovators West damper. Tried to buy a used one, and turned out to be not rebuildable, so the seller was real cool. We ended up returning that and just getting a new one. And here's the motor all buttoned up. Got everything back together. Got my heads back from Mr. Sparks. Crank back from BES. And everything's buttoned up and ready to take to the chassis shop to get that final fitment in. And this is where we started to have trouble. So we had the aluminum block in there for mock-up, and things seemed to bolt up good with the gear drive for the supercharger. The iron block has a different bolt pattern than the aluminum block, and being that the L8T is the only iron block in the family of LT motors, makes it unique, I suppose. So the guys over at Midwest Turbo, worked with me. This is the first F3, F4 application that they've built the motor plates for, or the motor block adapters for. So we had to do a little bit back and forth to get the right fit. I think we went through 3 iterations to get it right. And that's just a little Enderley 110 pump. Again, just trying to keep things simple. Keep the fuel cell up front. 3 or 4 gallon. Pick that up used. This is truly a budget build. I know there's a lot of cute billet parts on this thing, and it's turned out to be pretty rowdy, but trying to keep things as cheap as humanly possible. Um, let's just say things have gone quite over budget at this point. But I think this year it was going to be go racing or go bankrupt, and it turns out might do both of those. So TBM brakes, another marketplace find, piece that together. Got a got a turbo 400, trans brake, first or second gear leave. It's a 3-speed right now. It's got some nice parts in it. Came from came from a good builder. Can't remember who. But just checking on the progress here. We got the rear end in, the new anti-roll bar. Still working on these motor plates, trying to get them to line up. And I started assembling the intake. This is just a Holley ultra low ram, dual injector, running, twin 210-pound injectors. So 16 injectors total. It'll run on pure methanol. These wheels are the old dish hubcaps. They're spare tires off I think a old Crown Vic or something, and I bought them a few years back. That's the Tin Soldier gas pedal, real nice piece. Got the extinguisher fire system installed, parachutes installed.
It's so different seeing it with the quarter
Got
windows.
the quarter windows and the taillights in there. Burn down tanks installed. I think this is the point where maybe we start getting close to scaling it out and finding out that we're a little front heavy, a little bit heavier than we want to be up front. And that's the problem you have when you have stock firewall, stock floor rules, right? So, you know, this combination, I'm hoping it'll do 1600 on the dyno and maybe 2000 on kill at the track. But there's just a lot of weight up out front, and so we gotta add a lot of weight in the back. So, you know, the wiring job was left up to me. Oh, here you go. So we're 58 out front, right? Real bad. Maybe good for sticky glue paper tracks, but not good for front side, not good for back side. So we got to add a bunch of weight for this combination to work. 2515 overall, that's really nice until we have to add a bunch of weight to balance that out. So, I guess if we could, cut the firewall out and move the motor back about 3 feet, maybe we could use that weight to our advantage. But at this point, it's just a number, and it's not really an accurate number. So here I am getting started on doing the wiring. We got IGN-1 coils, a little bit stronger spark for the methanol, a little bit wider tuning window. And as you can see, this is my first wiring job, so take it easy on me. But pretty messy overall, pretty scary. It's just the eBay throttle body. I think it's like a $50 throttle body for you guys wondering. And I'm running a Mega Squirt, so being a little bit different. It's just what I have, and so that's what I choose to use. We're going to be running, 2 blow-off valves up front because that 140 is just a lot for that 400 cubic inch motor. So 2 wastegates as well, so we can try to blow off any additional boost. It's got a 1-to-1 gear drive in it right now, which is the smallest one that they have for that gear drive. So the hope is that we don't need to blow off too much extra, but we won't know until we get it on the dyno and see what it makes. So we angled these a little bit more, try to get them in the path of the air there a little bit better. So there she is. Fuel cell's mounted, windows are in. We got some burned down tubes that were kind of a one-off from this guy. I think he's out in Virginia or something. And this is one of the things we did to add some weight. I think there's 18 pounds there on the parachute. Just try to put it up high and back. A lot of places don't allow, butt hurt bars and things like that. We might be able to take advantage of those at some tracks, but most of them not so much. So this is something. And then there's a 5/8 inch thick plate of steel. I think that weighs about 120 pounds. And anti-roll bars from Hammer Concepts and Designs, HCD. Real nice piece. We got some low dollar sensors, shock sensors. And we decided to name the car Optimus, kind of appeal to the younger crowd, and it's I think it's a name everyone's familiar with, so that's cool. Here's my sponsors again. These guys have been immensely helpful in getting this car together in such a short period of time. These are my kids, future race car drivers someday, I hope. They just wanted to sit in it, check out the seat belts, and I think they got a kick out of it. So I probably should have set up a tripod here. I haven't filmed in about a year and a half since we were doing all the videos of the no prep scene, and but I just wanted to get something set up here when we try to start it for the first time. So we're running a 16-volt battery, 16-volt alternator, and you can hear here it sounds pretty good. I think it turns over about 170 RPM, something like that. And I wasn't sure what was going on here. I figured it was probably my engineering job, something I screwed up, right? But this is the first time I've played with a Megasquirt. I've done some tuning on HP tuners in the past, messed with EFI Live and some other tuning platforms, but this is the first time I've been in the Megasquirt system, so I'm reaching out to somebody for some help on the dyno, because we don't want to blow up this beautiful motor just yet, So it's got 94, 95 Mustang spindles on it, so I could run the factory ABS sensors, use that in the traction control logic along with the drive shaft speed. It's a 32 tooth Motion drive shaft. It's got a 410 gear in it. It's a 4 gear. Spool. It's not really wanting to fire. You can see the starter and the battery are doing their job. So I think I got Brisk 8 plugs in it. got AFCO double adjustables up front. You got Viking, Berserker double adjustables in the rear. We've got a laser ride height sensor, infrared track and tire temp sensor. All four corners have the low dollar shock sensors on it. And then I'm monitoring
Buddy.
fuel pressure, monitoring oil pressure, and oil temperature. Be nice to get some EGT sensors in there, and maybe another oxygen sensor in the other bank. Maybe not. I don't know. We'll see. Methanol's pretty forgiving. So we still got to wire all that up. All the shock sensors and drive shaft sensors, I've still got to wire that stuff up. We're just trying to get it fired for the first time to see if we're even close here, if we're going to get this thing ready or not. I wanted to make it to the race at Beach Bend this Friday, but that's kind of asking a lot. It's sitting at the alignment shop right now, hoping they'll be done tomorrow, and then we'll get it over to the dyno. And then I don't know if I'll have any shock sensor or drive shaft sensor stuff hooked up by Friday, but hopefully I can get that stuff hooked up, because I'd rather not put this front end up in the sky, smash the oil pan or whatever. That's my youngest son. He's collecting rocks. Better than playing video games, I suppose. I spent a lot of time outdoors as a kid, building stuff, playing with motors. So, you know, taking that motor from what it was, you know, not too long ago from the junkyard, rusty junk, and attaching this big old blower to it is pretty wild.
Dad, I see him.
Yeah?
Yeah, he jumps. I didn't know you can jump. He jumps.
Yeah, put them down. All right.
Maybe he's a squirrel because he jumps. The squirrels jump a little bit high.
Maybe.
Though I saw that one jump a little bit high. There's a lot of rocks that are out. Yeah, that's supposed to be in the hook. You know what I'm here. There's so many.
So here I'm looking through the settings on the Magasquirt. I'm thinking, and at this point there was a lot of stuff that still wasn't hooked up. Sensor wasn't hooked up. I scared my little boy there. So at this point I hear it fire, and
Huh?
Are you testing it out?
Yeah.
So if it works,
Yeah.
well, it's kind of working. It fired for the first time, so that's a good sign. So what had happened was, when I was entering in the initial data, I'd put that it had 16 injectors. But then I knew that the computer could only see 8 because I've got them wired and, you know, to get in pairs. So I should have put 8 injectors, but I put 16. At the instead of. So the reason it was firing is probably because it was getting half the fuel it needed, and so there was a little bit of residual that was allowing it to fire off just a little bit. So here we are, round 2, and like I said, I think I fixed the injector thing here. You guys lucked out, got that new Puma underwear, so no crack. But I was just checking for leaks, you know, new build. I want to check for fuel leaks, oil leaks, transmission leaks, any type of fluid. And I didn't see anything, so that's great news. You never want to tear apart a new build. So this is just a bass tune, and pretty surprising. It fired right off and idled. It was idling around 800, which is crazy for the size cam and the blower that's on this thing. The next day I hooked up the map sensor, and it was able to idle at 1,000 RPM and keep running. The 800 is just a little bit too low. Catch it. So checking the logs, that was about 20% throttle. So without a real tune in it. So you know, I can't wait to get this thing on the dyno and see if it actually performs like I think it will. And hope you guys support me and keep an eye out for this car. Should be out there racing pretty soon.